Hi, I'm Haley and welcome back to KinderCare Cooks. Before we start making today's recipe, hit subscribe so you don't miss any other great dishes. Today's recipe is a Japanese-inspired cold summer salad, Hiyashi Chuka, that highlights fresh seasonal produce in a savory sauce. We'll also be using fresh tomatoes, some shredded carrots, cucumbers, and edamame. But it also works well with just about any vegetable, so choose ones that grow well in your area or that you and your family enjoy. This recipe is fun to do with all ages. Your older children can chop and shred veggies, while younger children can rinse noodles and help pile on all these lovely toppings. A great thing about this recipe is that it adapts well to a bowl or a soup just by changing up a few of the ingredients, making one dish into 3 separate meals. I don't know about you, but I love it when you can get multiple meals out of just one recipe. At KinderCare, we believe in honoring the diversity in our centers. One way we do this is through exposing children to a variety of foods from many different cultures. And as children explore different tastes, textures, and flavors, their curiosity and their palates expand as they learn to appreciate these new foods. A great thing about this recipe is that you can prepare this dish ahead of time. You can keep it in the refrigerator until it's ready to serve. And best of all, you don't need to turn on a hot oven when it gets warm outside. So let's get started with our ingredients. We've got some edamame here, about a cup. We've chopped our tomatoes, and we just did a little thin slice on this, but you could cut them into quarters, and that works great too for this recipe. We have some shredded carrot. You could either use a grater or this fun little tool that I have here where you just hold your carrot and you pull backward to make these fun little carrot shreds. We've got some cucumber that's also diced thinly. And then today we're going to be doing a vegetarian dish, so we're using some tofu that I have already drained the water out of and just did a simple pan fry with a little bit of garlic and some olive oil. So are you ready to cook with me? Okay, let's go. Hiyashi is typically made with chilled ramen noodles known as chuka soba. These can be found in most grocery stores in the Asian food section or at the Asian market. You could also use a buckwheat soba noodle or a curly ramen noodle. To make this dish gluten-free, you can use any gluten-free spaghetti noodle. You could use a rice noodle or a 100% buckwheat soba noodle. At KinderCare, we use a regular whole grain spaghetti noodle, which holds up really well in this dish, and it's easily accessible in grocery stores everywhere. We've got 2 eggs in this recipe. What we're gonna do with the eggs is scramble them and cook them very thin, kind of like an omelet, but even thinner, and then fold it over and just cut them into strips. So when you're done, you've got these egg strips. And through the magic of pre-done cooking, we've got the eggs already done. On the KinderCare cam today, we have Noriko, Sebastian, and Kai. They are making a soup version of this recipe while we make the salad. It's choose your own adventure. All right, so let's start with our sauce. I'm gonna be using this glass jar with a lid. It's an easy thing to do when you wanna put a bunch of ingredients together as liquids and then shake it up at the end. So if you haven't worked with some of these ingredients before, I think a great idea is just to give a little bit of a taste first, just so you know kind of what ingredients you're working with. For example, the rice wine vinegar tastes like any other kind of white vinegar, but it has a really acidic flavor to it that brings out the flavor of your other ingredients. So just put a little on your finger, give it a taste. You can add more or less in this recipe. Something to know about sesame oil, if you haven't worked with it before, it's a very strong flavored oil and a little bit goes a long way. So try 1 or 2 tablespoons first, test your sauce, and then if you need to add more, you can add more later. So we're gonna add all of that into our glass jar. Make sure we get that lid on there nice and tight. Just give it a shake. Your kids might like to do this part of it. It's kind of fun. And then we've got your dressing. When the sauce is done, I think it's always great to give a little taste just to make sure you're happy with how it came out. I think it tastes perfect. I wouldn't change anything, so I think that's good. We'll just set that aside. And now we get to have fun loading up our noodles. So now we're ready to assemble the bowl. This is something that your youngest little kitchen helpers can help with. You've got this plate of this ramen noodle here, and to that we're gonna add some of our edamame, and they can just grab and pour it to one side, or they can pour it on top. There's really no right or wrong way to do this. It's just fun to see the different colors. And as I always say, why not try out one new veggie that perhaps your family hasn't tried before? Food is a great unifier where people of all backgrounds can come together and learn about one another and create community. Having exposure to cultural dishes that are not normally eaten in the home is one way that children can learn about the world around them. They can explore how we are the same, how we're different, and then celebrate the differences that make us unique and that bring us together. And then lastly, we'll put on some of the egg. So you've got all the colors of the rainbow there. And then the best part is this sauce. We're gonna shake it up one more time. And then you just pour it right over the top of the bowl. You don't have to use it all. So there you have it. It's amazing how fast this meal goes together. You've got all these great colors, you've got great protein, you've got great carbohydrates from the vegetables, and it just looks so pretty and it tastes really great. Let's go back to our KinderCare cam one more time to see how the soup turned out. Looks like it's a big hit. I hope you like this episode of KinderCare Cooks. This flavorful Japanese cold ramen salad works well when the temperatures outside heat up, but it can easily be adapted into a rice bowl or made into a soup when the weather cools down. If you like this recipe and want to see more, subscribe now so you never miss an episode. And we'll see you next time.